And when I asked the obvious question of why my boy, I was immediately returned to my life review, where I had been shown the truth in God's promise that beauty comes of all things.
Bullshit.
Eventually. And I was reminded that it is always a matter of trust, trusting God's promises to us. And with that, then, I was reunited with my body. And I continued to have supernatural experiences over the next couple of weeks. But then finally the window, my personal window into heaven, closed. And I was left with the consequences of my injury, and I underwent many, many surgeries and many more months of rehab. And I spent those many months of rehab trying to figure out what had happened to me.
Why did God allow it to happen,
I
woman?
researched extensively
God's good, right?
Possible explanation or excuse that
God's
anyone had ever mentioned. I researched, of course, dreams and hallucinations.
Wake up.
DMT or other neurotransmitter trips.
You're brainwashed.
Could it have been just the physiologic process of a dying brain? And at the end of many, many months of research, I had to conclude
you went through an illusion.
that mine had been a true and spiritual experience. And I discovered also that science and spirituality actually coexist very easily because they answer different questions. And I also discovered that I wasn't alone in this experience. Almost 20 million people in this country alone have had this sort of profoundly transformative experience. And I've spent many years, of course, thinking about my experiences, and I recognize that my most important transformation
Where's your evidence?
was moving from hope or a faith in God's promises to an absolute trust.
You're full of shit.
And I do not mean to discount the faith of the Bible, but faith in our culture is so often based on reading or other people's experiences, and it can certainly be strong, but it can just as easily be shaken or lost when challenged. But trust is solid. Trust is an active choice based on the presence of God and the experience of God's trustworthiness in one's own life. And I will tell you that trust for me is sort of faith in action. And I will tell you what it looks like in my life. First of all, because of trust, I'm free. I am free from all bondage to my past. I don't feel guilt. I don't feel remorse, regret for anything I've done or not done. Because I trust that God knows me completely and knows my story.
He took away your son, but he's good, right?
And in that knowledge, through grace,
wake
feels
up.
Nothing but compassion for me. And I also know that I would feel nothing but compassion for people in my past, because if I knew their true story, I too would feel nothing but compassion for them. And so I am free from bitterness, hate, anger, even minor irritation that people have caused me. And I don't have worry or anxiety about my future, because I trust that God has a plan for my life that is one of hope. And I'm certainly not afraid of death. I trust, and actually I will claim to know, that there really is life after death, heaven, whatever you want to call it. And I actually believe that it is the very reality of that heaven that brings context and meaning and purpose to my own life. And what I mean by that is best shown in this next slide. Many of you will see a white cup, and some of you will see blue faces. But if you focus entirely on the cup, you'll miss the context and the meaning provided by the faces. And if you focus entirely on the blue faces, you'll miss the beauty and the purpose of the cup.
It's a chalice.
Now, if you imagine for a minute that that white cup represents our life here on earth, And the blue faces represent heaven, God's people, God's intention, God's love.
Your best evidence for God is a damn cup. Come on.
If you take away that background of heaven, then this white cup of life becomes nothing but potential. So, I'm free from my past. I don't worry about the future.